I were in Myra about a year and a half ago. Dawn was looking at something on the shelf, and I was behind her just trying to get out of the way. The aisle was clear with plenty of room to get past us. All of a sudden, this woman comes and yells at Dawn, "Excuse him." Dawn and I looked at each other very confused as we watched this woman make this big curve around me. Dawn smirked and said, "I guess she didn't want to catch your disability." How people perceive things differently, and yet perception of the disability really hasn't changed a lot over the last 30 years. A disability is a limitation of some kind, so when it is visible like mine is, people tend to write you off right away. I'm not perceived to have any abilities because the disability I have sticks out like a sore thumb. For those of you that know me know that I don't like sore thumbs very much, so I have been meddling of my life to make the disability disappear. The question I have had to answer is this: what can you do when there seems there is nothing to do? It is a question that I face every day. Many times I have thought if I didn't have a disability, I would be just a normal person. I wouldn't have to deal with everything I have to deal with now. My life would be so much simpler. I have to see able-bodied people around me, and I think to myself they have the life. They are able to do all the things I wish I can do, and they are living the dream life. I know I always wanted to know what it was like to be, quote, normal. I always wanted to know what it was like to be able to do anything I wanted to do at any given moment. I believe that would be fun for about a day because I have realized fitting into the, quote, normal community is a lot of hard work. Everybody has a constraint in their life, but most people try to hide their constraints. Constraints are viewed today as a weakness, and nobody believes a person can have a weakness. So, when this happens, a person tries to mask whatever flaw they have in order to be accepted into their community. We are bombarded with this idea every day. The media tells you if you have a flaw, you can fix it. If you look different, we will give you a makeover. But don't be satisfied with the person that you are. Do something about it so you will be able to fit into society. We want to fit in so badly that sometimes we sacrifice what we believe. Our beliefs become secondary to us so that we can join in what we believe is the cool group. By joining that group, we are just conforming to the type standard. We are becoming walking masks who aren't showing people our true identity. I was born in 1973. The umbilical cord was coming out before me, so they had to do an emergency C-section. They knew they were racing the clock. 45 minutes later, I was born. I wasn't breathing and my body was blue. They started CPR and gave me CPR for 40 minutes. I was breathing finally, but I had gone without oxygen for more than an hour. The lack of oxygen caused an injury to the motor portion of my brain. I had cerebral palsy. I am classified as an amputoid, which means my muscles never stop moving. The expectations for my life were high. My life wasn't going to be the life they expected for me. I wasn't going to be able to walk or talk. I wasn't going to be the star athlete. I wasn't going to be able to do a lot of things, and all of a sudden my parents had one of their many what do we do moments. Do you understand how frustrating it is not to be able to express yourself? Do you understand how frustrating it is when your parents or brothers and sisters can't understand you? For the first 6 years of my life, I couldn't express myself. I couldn't tell my mother what was wrong with me or let her know how I loved her. I was stuck because nobody could really understand me, and now everybody wondered what my mental capability was. These were questions nobody could answer, because while some believed I expressed myself enough, other experts couldn't tell. As I grew up, I started using a picture book to communicate with my family. It solved some of the frustration, but it was slow, and I still couldn't communicate everything that I wanted to say. Judy, my speech therapist, wondered if I might be able to speak using a communication box, so I was given my first one when I was 6. We took it home and Mom let me try it. I used my left big toe to operate it, and by the next day I was talking in complete sentences. This technology changed the course of my life. All of a sudden, my family could see I was able to communicate. Augmentative communication gives a person like myself a chance to be educated. It gives a person a chance to build relationships. It gives a person a chance to have a meaningful life because it gives them a tool to communicate. As a person living with a disability, you are always going to have an uphill battle. This is true for all disabilities, and it gets even more difficult when you have a communication disorder on top of the disability. When you have a disability, but have your communication, you can navigate your way through the system and almost become anything you want to be. It isn't easy, but it is possible. When you have a disability and you aren't able to communicate, it's almost impossible to become something you want to become. It's almost impossible to accomplish something you want to accomplish because most people walk right by you. You can't communicate, so you have nothing to offer. Why should we get to know you? Why should we give you a chance? My life is a prime example of that fact. Many people haven't given me a chance because I communicate differently. They haven't given me the same opportunities that other people get because I have a disability, and they just can't see past the disability. I realized I was different and I couldn't do a lot of the things my friends could do, but I didn't start to question Mom until I had to get on a bus every morning to ride to school. Why do I have to have a disability when my brothers and sisters can run and play? I want to be just like them. I want to walk to school. I want to play sports. I don't want to ride on this bus every day for an hour to get to school and back home. I would cry when my bus came, but every day Mom put me on that bus. This is where I really started to ask tough questions. Life just didn't seem fair to me. I really had to wonder why a loving God I heard about in church would make me suffer. Yet, Mom and Dad always reassured me God would give me the strength. As a 13-year-old who wanted to do everything his brothers were doing, that wasn't always what I wanted to hear. However, I pushed myself through. I excelled through grade school and high school. However, excelling through high school didn't help me get accepted. I told Mom I had to dress like everybody else because that way they would see me. So, with the help of my 4 other older siblings, Mom made sure I was right in the style. I wore all the cool clothes. I had the newest Jordans, and still I had a difficult time making friends in school. I tried to mask my disability, however it's the only thing my peers saw. This frustrated me so much that I wanted to give up. I wanted to sit at home where I knew I was accepted and just be happy with that life. However, if I would have done that, I would have allowed the disability to win. My mom continued to remind me I could do this because God would give me His strength. I know there are some people here that feel the constraint in the way is blocking them from achieving something great. You know the odds are stacked up against you, so you just figure it would be easier to throw in the towel. The thing is, even with the constraint, you can do all things through Jesus, who gives you His strength. When the will is telling you no, you are going to have to decide who you are going to listen to. Are you going to listen to all the doubters? Are you going to listen to the spirit that is inside of you? I had allowed my disability to become my identity. I had allowed all the chatter around me decide who I was, and my life wasn't working. It was at this time I realized my mom wasn't saying the struggle was going away. She was giving me a life sentence to endure the struggle so that I could see the possibilities. It didn't mean I was going to be able to do everything I wanted, but I would be able to endure the struggle. By enduring the struggle, I would be able to persevere. There is a spirit within me that told me I couldn't give up, which ignited a light in me. I am hoping that light shines brightly out of me everywhere I go because that light has become my identity. There comes a time where everybody has to make this decision in their life. I had to decide if I was going to keep trying to mask the disability or decide to embrace my disability. When I went to Hope College, I decided to quit acting, and I showed people who Chris Klein was. I began to be accepted for the person I was, and the disability disappeared. It disappeared because I quit trying to be something I was not, and people saw a guy in a wheelchair who liked video games, who liked sports, who liked to joke around. They wanted to get to know me. For the first time in my life, my friends looked past the disability and saw a person. They saw a light burning in me, and they wanted to be a part of my life. This is a world that is filled with inequality and injustices. This didn't begin in the last few years. This began in the garden. When sin entered the world, constraints entered the world. The thing that has changed is people believe they should be bailed out of their constraints. When this doesn't happen, many sulk. They complain about their inequalities and injustices, but that's all they do. They believe they should be handed something, or believe they are owed something. I have a lot of inequalities and injustices I could complain about, but I'm not going to do it. My biggest constraint will never go away. However, I'm not asking for a handout, and I don't expect to be handed anything. I have proved myself over and over, and I will continue to do so for the rest of my life. I know that gets old at times, but I know we don't have to prove our worth. It's just that some of us have to work harder to prove ourselves. This is where the Spirit within you helps you to keep going, even when you are feeling like stopping. Instead of masking our constraints, we need to embrace them and share the brokenness with others. It's time to start loving the people around us and showing them we aren't perfect. We'll need to build a community around us, and in order to do that, we need to stop hiding around the masks. People need to know what we are struggling with so that they can help us. We need to know who is struggling within our community so that we can help them. Life is all about teamwork. I know I couldn't do the things that I have accomplished without the help of the community. It started with my family. They weren't going to let me give up. It has picked up with all of my friends. When I am feeling down, I know I can call one of them, and they are going to pick me up. They are going to push me out of my comfort zone at times, which I'm not going to always like them doing. However, I know it is necessary. Most importantly, they are going to love on me. The opportunity to play and coach a sport is an opportunity to learn a lot about what life is going to be like. There are constraints that are going to hit you in the face, and how a team or individual handles those constraints will determine how successful that team and individual will be. It's just like life. You can either sulk about it, or you can embrace it and get on to the next task. This summer I had the honor to go speak at the No Barriers Summit in Colorado. No Barriers Summit is an adventure camp for people that have disabilities. It is a camp that focuses on embracing your constraints so that you can achieve anything you set your mind to. Trust me, I had the opportunity to do some awesome things, and I did push my body to its limits. The No Barriers theme says, what is within you is stronger than what is in your way. Great saying, but I would take it one step further. It's time to embrace our constraints so that the Spirit of Jesus can give us His strength. You, as professors and coaches, have a great opportunity to change how students you encounter view their constraints. This is an opportunity to show them we have a God bigger than any constraint. When we embrace our constraints, truly anything becomes possible.